Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 4th meeting of the City Council for the City of Cannon Falls. Could we have roll call, please?
Bringold.
Here.
Duncan.
Here.
Gesme.
Here.
Lundell.
Here.
Matson.
Here.
Montgomery.
Here.
Altoff.
Here. Would you stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Duncan, a second by Gesme to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, it leads us to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items may be adopted under one motion as presented or may be removed for discussion and resolution as council business. For you in the audience and at home, I'll go through the consent agenda. Item A, just and correct claims for the accounting period ending June 30th, 2020. Item B, just and correct claims for the accounting period ending July 31st, 2020. Item C, minute meetings for the July 21st, 2020 City Council work session. Item D, minute meetings for the July 21st, 2020 City Council meeting. Item E, minute meetings for the July 28th, 2020 City Council work session. Item F, Resolution 2497, accepting a donation from the Coffee Club to the Parks Department for a bench in memory of Dick Dalton. Item G, hiring an unscheduled part-time employee. Item H, Resolution 2498, accepting a donation from Michael Diekman to the Police Department of a small utility trailer. And item I, Resolution 2499, accepting of a donation from Valley View Recovery Center to the Police Department of a television. Is there anything the council would like to bring down?
Bring down I.
Item I. Okay, we'll put that under council business as item 6E. Resolution 2499, accepting a donation of a TV from the Valley View Recovery Center. Anything else? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of item I?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Matson, second by Duncan, to approve the consent agenda minus item I. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll get into council business. Item A is the Park Advisory Board ordinance discussion. Neil.
In your packet, you'll find a ordinance addressing the Park Advisory Board. When the 2012 codification was done, the Park Board was inadvertently missed and not placed into that. When they approved the 2020 codification in its entirety, it wiped out all previous ordinances. So what we're doing today is discussing the Park Advisory Board ordinance, its language, and then we'll bring it back at the next City Council meeting for the first reading and move it forward. One of the questions that I had was in the ordinance it calls for a Public Works employee to be a part of the board. it seems like city staff should be on the other side of the table and answer questions, give input on projects, agenda items. Doesn't seem like having a city employee set on a board is what the correct way to go about that. So I'd like your input on that.
I'll go first here. I agree with Neil. I would limit the membership instead of 6, as it says here, to 5, and I would remove the Public Works employee as a voting member of that. It also says 4 community members. Well, what does community mean? Maybe that should be changed to say 4 Cannon Falls, City of Cannon Falls residents. And those would be the 2 changes I would make.
Well, right now you've got Josh and Chuck. Is Chuck considered retired, or, I know he still works part-time?
He's still an employee.
So the current board, the chair is Matt, and you're on as a citizen, actually.
I was on as a citizen before.
Yeah, you were on before
Council.
you became on the council, and
Yep.
Mary,
I'm on
Mary
there
Jill
too.
is on as the council.
Yep,
Then you have Ken Carpenter,
correct. Who was a former council member and former chair.
yeah, and Becky Youngmark now, and then
yeah.
Steve Sogren.
Yeah,
Yes.
So you've got 5, you was 6 with Josh, or 7, actually.
and Chuck.
And Chuck.
Said-
And Chuck that was 7.
But you should also, having 6 is never good. You always want to have an odd number.
If you
Because
can.
unlike the council where you, Mayor, would break a tie, you can't break a tie in a committee like that.
1,
We
2.
were just advisory, but still, I don't know.
You're saying you'd rather have it at 5? Leave it at 5?
I'd be fine with 5.
I'd be fine with that, especially since if we wouldn't have a Public Works employee on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Public Works employee, I mean, I think of this as similar to our, the Public Works Commission, where
Right, we need
they're
them.
present and they participate in the discussion, they just don't vote.
Exactly.
So they're a necessary member.
Yeah.
They're
Right,
just not,
because the park board is
Yeah.
going to need some knowledge that is brought in, but should not
absolutely.
be a voting
Yep,
member.
doesn't have to be. And this is, I think, if I get this right, Neil, we're just trying to clean things up because when I joined the park board, it was very much a relaxed atmosphere, no agenda, just kind of sitting around having coffee and chatting. We're trying to just clean that up and, get it down in writing so that we've got it the right way.
Yeah.
Number of members, who they are, clean all that stuff up.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, an odd number, or if it's an even number and the chair does not vote, I mean, whatever we'd want to do, that's fine. As long as it's an odd number of voting members, that's fine.
Well, when we put an ordinance into place, we assume it's going to be there for years, so let's get it right. That's why I said it include 4 Cannon Falls residents
No, I like that too.
Members.
Yeah.
and 1 member of the city council and eliminate the Public Works employee, although
Sure.
it'd still be there.
Those are all great points.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that. The question would be then with the current board, how do we decide who holds their place?
Or do we keep it the same through this year and then change it in January?
Yeah, that's
That
the way.
makes sense?
After an election year, the committees are gone through in January and
Right,
redone.
Okay.
I agree.
That's cool.
So you want to make that?
Well,
motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion that we change the wording to say includes 4 Cannon Falls residents as members and eliminate the 1 Public Works employee.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion by Duncan, a second by Montgomery. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, item B, approve the engineering contract. Neil?
Well, a couple of months ago, we sent out requests for proposals. We got back 9 great applications. The committee narrowed that down to 4 firms. On July 28th, the interviews were completed, and the committee held a discussion, which was the council. It was a consensus of the city council to select WHKS as the next city engineering consultant. And in your package, you will find a contract. It's an overall contract that WHKS puts together. And then when we have an individual project, they'll put another subcontract together for approval on that. So this one is just establishing terms, and then they'll do a subcontract when we have a reconstruction or water tower project, since that's coming up in the future. So that's how they do their, you'll know what you're spending when you sign the contract.
Any questions?
Neil, was there anything in the contract that you find not comfortable with, or is everything?
No, it all looked real good. When I reviewed it, I'm familiar with it, so it's the same one that we had in Zumbrota, so I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
Anything else? Well, then I'd take a motion.
So move.
Second.
And a motion by Duncan, a second by Bringo to approve the contract with WHKS for engineering services for the city of Cannon Falls. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Okay, item C, Artisan Farmers Market. Neil?
Dave Olson requested to be on the agenda to discuss the Artisan Farmers Market, and I believe he's here tonight.
Good evening, David Olson here. I'm here to share some facts. There's been some controversy between the council members and my Artisan Plaza. One of the members suggested that maybe we shut down the Artisan Farmers Market. Ethically, that's not a right thing to say. Financially, it's not the right thing to say. So I'm here to kind of set the record straight. The farmers market at Artisan Plaza was put together by multiple people. We had people from the city of Cannon Falls, we had vendors, and we had other people in the community. And I'm proud of the efforts that those people have done. We've more than doubled the vendors for the farmers market, and the capacity downtown would not have been available with the parking lot that's down there. We've more than tripled the foot traffic. We're actually bringing people from other cities in to our markets. They're also going to other businesses like John Deere or the gas stations or whatever and spending their money. I also took the liability off the city by doing it in my own parking lot. And I've given the customers ample parking and an ease to get into the market, which is not available in the downtown parking lot. We've also done some food projects with the city, and we've been able to supply nursing homes, schools, and hospitals with food from our vendors, which is a positive for all sides. We're completely compliant with the state and local regulations, and we've also created a fall festival that brings in hundreds of people in the fall. So we have a lot of positive things that have happened with this project, and when somebody suggests that this be shut down, I'm very upset with that. So that's why I'm here to set the record straight. The other thing is, whoever the council members were that voted in allowing the market to be downtown, you violated your own city ordinance. And I've got copies of your city ordinance along with definitions on exactly how it's worded so that everybody can understand what is proper and what is not. So I've got copies for everybody. If anybody in the public wants them, I got some also.
Thanks, Dave.
They're printed on both sides to save paper, so the ordinance is on the back side. Anybody else? I think it's important that I let everybody know the positive things that really came out of our market and the things we've done. And to destroy that or tear that down, I think would be a mistake. So I'm here to set the record straight. Hopefully you guys take this, this information and make the right decisions with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on this. I know a couple months ago when we discussed this, we were kind of divided on should they still be out at Artisan, should they be downtown? I fell on the side that it should be out at Artisan. Dave brought up a very good point. One, it's not allowed by our zoning, and it takes away liability from the city. Those are two big items, not to mention the fact that out at Artisan Plaza, they got about 4 times what we see downtown. We know we're gonna lose a few parking spots downtown because of the charging stations and the people coming to use the Cannon Valley Trail fill up that parking lot virtually every weekend. I know we elected to discuss this again in October. So I suppose we have to let it go at this time, unfortunately, but it is something to bear in mind. I would like to also mention that there's an individual at the downtown farmers market who thinks he runs it, and on his LLC listed his address as downtown Cannon Falls, which is illegal on an LLC because you have to put a proper mailing address. So I think we ought to just change it to out by David Olson's area there. But I know we already voted. I don't know if we can change in midstream or not. But anyway, that's my opinion on it.
Anybody else? Do we want to review it before October?
Well, I'm probably the one that's guilty of kicking the can down the road because neither of the other motions got seconds, you know. So I said, let's keep it the same and then talk about it. My observation this year has been that it doesn't look like a farmer's market downtown, guys. It's like 3 people and they're just not, I know from when I was down there that the bikers want that parking lot on Saturday mornings, and it's really hard because you don't have a definite area, and people want to drive through or walk through, and it's hard. I mean, we're not, I don't think we can look at it until October, but I would be in favor of, for 2021, let's let it go to Artisan for sure, because I just don't think downtown is viable for it anymore. Especially now with losing 4 parking spaces to the Chargers. That parking lot's full on Saturday mornings. That's my opinion. We can always bring it back if we want to, but.
Kyle Paulson from the Chamber of Commerce in Cannon Falls. And I am a strong supporter of the downtown farmers market. This last week, there were, I want to say 7 vendors, and there were multiple people at each of those vendors. Like, I had to stand in line to get to Ruthie's kitchen, and there were 4 people ahead of me. There were lines for Lola's Lemonade. And I'm seeing the bikers come over before they go out for a bike ride, come over, pick up their produce, put it back in the car, and take off. And so they're pleased to have it downtown. I also know that the citizens who live in Cannon River Senior Center, Park Street Apartments, Freeborn Manor, they do not have vehicles. So how can they get to Artisan Plaza? And so I think we need to think about all of our citizens. It doesn't hurt to have 2 farmers markets. There's different products at each one, and, some people have favorites. But I would strongly be in favor of both. I am now advertising for both. So I hope we can continue that. And that's the support from the chamber.
Anybody else?
John, can anybody speak now or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Marcy French, just a resident of Cannon Falls. Just had a thought while Kyle was talking about, the importance of having a farmer's market downtown. What if the farmer's market downtown was held on Thursday evening on Mill Street or
I just thought the same thing.
something like that? I mean, a lot of communities do an evening, and it's a welcome thing for residents. They don't have to hassle with Saturday morning. So just a thought.
I thought the same thing, because Dennison used to do theirs on Thursday evenings.
I would still have an issue with city liability.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the consensus is to leave it till October and address it again?
I'd like to throw in my 2 cents here. Just because Bill and Mayor Eltoff and I are old, we remember the old farmer's market where nobody gave a hoot what the law was. The people with extra vegetables came downtown and sold the damn things.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it has to get into a full-blown ordinance and law and liability and licensing but that's the way of the world. And I guess if it's against a city ordinance, it's against the city ordinance, and I guess we have to follow the letter of the law. It just makes sure that all the laws are followed and that we don't cherry pick the ones we think might help certain individuals and not others. There. I feel better.
Anybody else? Well, it's got to be addressed. If we're in violation of the ordinance, having it down there, we're going to have to address it.
Well, should we direct our esteemed city staff to look into that for us? That's what I would do, instead of sitting up here guessing.
Okay. Check in, and we'll talk about it at the next meeting. I know in the spring, it was finally decided to have both markets. I know that.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll bring it up at the next meeting. Okay, item D, Live Well, Goodhue County presentation. David and Marcy.
I'm Marcy French, once again, resident of Cannon Falls, and this is David Anderson. Do you want to?
Live Well, Goodhue County Coordinator.
And we've got an exciting proposal for you, I hope. I hope you think that it's exciting. So we're part of a group that's been gathering for almost 3 years called Bike Cannon Falls. Some of you are aware of our existence because you attended a program that we had last year with the Bike Alliance of Minnesota. John, you were there, I think. Officer McCormick, you were there and have come to several of our meetings. Anyway, we're here tonight because after working together for 3 years, we've come to a crossroads and we feel like we're ready to take the next step. And so we're asking the city for their partnership in becoming a bike-friendly community through the
League of American Bicyclists.
League of American Bicyclists. We do have a packet, I think, that you gave to all the council members that we handed out, that we want you to take a look at. But I'm just here to, in a nutshell, kind of tell you a little bit about the program. So our group, like I said, has been meeting for 3 years, and during that time, we have gathered a lot of information about like at that event that some of you attended, we worked with the Bike Alliance of Minnesota to determine some sketchy crossings for bikers, places in the city that need improvement, places that were great. Overall, we found out that Cannon Falls is an extremely bikeable community, but there are a few things that need some attention and need some inspiration. We've also worked at some of the fun fests in Cannon Falls on Mill Street, where we've surveyed families and students to figure out why they do or don't bike to school. And one of our goals as a group is to get more kids biking to school, more people in Cannon Falls biking to businesses rather than hopping in the car, taking up those prized parking spots. We're trying to inspire people to think about getting on their bikes. And that's why we've come to you tonight, because with a designation like a bike-friendly community, and as you can see in that packet, there's several different levels a city could choose to, go for. And that would be something that we could discuss if we decide to partner together to bring this to Cannon Falls. But let's see, some of the benefits of becoming a bike-friendly community, the ones that I think of the most are that it makes us a more healthy community. Good health, biking, being outdoors, all of these things are a part of Cannon Falls culture. And it's something that I don't think that we've fully tapped into yet. But I think knowing that gives us a lot of opportunities. You've all seen, and you've mentioned tonight, the parking lot since May, every weekend is completely jam-packed with people biking the trail. And we'd like to see, that kind of eke into the community and see more locals, choosing to bike to the grocery store or out to the farmer's market, which down the road, if we decide to become this bike-friendly community, we would put biking on our radar, so that when we make choices for infrastructure, or, it comes time to repave or do some work on 4th Street out to Artisan Plaza, then we think, bikers can't really ride bikes out there too easily. Maybe we should widen the shoulder, and just put biking on our radar so that so that students can get to school safely, safe routes to school. So this is some of the things that becoming a bike-friendly community would allow us to do. We'd have it more on our radar, biking, yeah. So let's see. Yeah, sure.
So really, I'm going to take this off because it's a little thick. By applying for a bike-friendly community, it really gives us that map to follow down for the future. So in it, you have to take into consideration engineering, and I wish the engineer was still here so I could have a conversation with him when we're done. Education, encouragement activities, enforcement activities, and evaluation and planning activities. We have been working on the encouragement and education activities, but that engineering we need help with that. And we can tell you what we think, but to have it in that plan and be ready to take advantage, so when MnDOT is looking at doing some work, they know Cannon Falls wants to include biking in that. Or if the county does some work on their streets, they know that Cannon Falls wants to include biking in on those activities. So developing that plan, giving us directions so it's not, oh, we got to take advantage of this, let's figure out where the money is going to come from. We're working on looking for grants to cover that cost, doing those kind of things. If we need, and part of the application process is developing a bike master plan, if we need to contract with another firm that does that, my Live Well Goodyear County funds could be used for that kind of thing. It's reimbursement based, so the city would initiate the cost of that, send the receipt to us, and then I reimburse you. So the cost of doing this is minimal. The cost of applying for the designation, there's no cost to that. Where we need help is answering some of those questions as far as what policies are currently in place in the city that I don't have access to. So getting help with that would be nice. So having somebody appointed from either the council or city staff to help us through that process would be good. And then the first step in the whole process, and I believe it's in your packet, is that action plan for bike-friendly communities where the mayor signs off saying, we're committed to doing these projects. Anything else you want to add? If not, we'll entertain questions.
Yeah, I guess what we're asking tonight is for you all to, and you've maybe had some time with the packet, is for you as a group to decide if this is something that would benefit Cannon Falls. And if so, we're asking for your partnership in applying. You know, so it would mean, one of the thoughts that we had was it would be an excellent thing for the, like, possibly the Parks Board or Public Works, you know, that the whole city becomes a park, you know, so to speak. And we start looking at it like, you know, bikeability and, you know, just putting some effort from the city into the project and I guess educating yourselves. I mean, are you ready to, you know, I guess embrace the opportunity to grow biking in Cannon Falls and make it, you know, take advantage of all the benefits that go with that. Yeah. I think that's it. But one other thing I should mention, though, that we've also done is, maybe you've seen these around town, it's a bike benefit program that we did with some of the businesses in town. We've reached out to them, and we give them a little sticker that they give to biking patrons. And then the bikers put that on their helmet, and when they come into, say, the bakery or the winery or Artisan Plaza, they get a special deal, free soda with a purchase of a meal, that kind of thing, money off of whatever. So this is one of the things that a group, Bike Cannon Falls, who we've got 2 members here live via satellite. 2 of our other members are here too. So anyway, just doing some great things, and we've kind of dug deep, and it's a solid group, and just needed a little extra help with this to get us to the next point. I think that's it. Do you guys have questions for us?
Yeah, I have one. One of the 2 action items requested here, one of them is to sign and agree to that action plan. The other one, you talk about having a city employee and appointed to serve on the committee and give them permission to spend working hours on bicycle-focused projects. We're currently budgetary, we're actually cutting down on staff.
But there's an or there, Bill.
Well, no, and I understand that, and I'll get to that.
okay.
But first, I just wanted you
Yep,
to understand that the city
Right.
cannot afford to have an employee working on this. Now, I see the second point about having someone maybe from the Park Board or Public Works. I would assume that would be not a member of city staff, because we would have to pay them for that time. So I assume you're looking for volunteers. Would that be correct?
Yeah, we're just asking for the city, we're just asking whether or not you would like to prioritize this.
Yeah.
You know, I realize that that's, possibly money involved, and somebody that already is doing a job in the city would have to do maybe some other stuff. But, and if that, is impossible, then that's impossible. But, yeah, that was another thought of ours, was bringing it to like the Parks Board and have this be on their agenda as well. So, do one of our members attend the Parks Board meeting or the Public Works, because some of it will be Public Works type things. Yeah, so I guess, what we're asking of you is this a value to you as a council member? Do you see it as a value to the community? And if so, would you be, because our group is made up of, community members. David from Red Wing, Goodhue County Public Health, or Live Well Goodhue County, has, is working with us because there's a group of citizens, community members who are interested in this. So we're fortunate to have, those funds coming our way into Cannon Falls with this group. So we're kind of stirring the pot, getting things like this going, et cetera. So now we're asking, is it a priority for you? It is for us, but is it for you? Do you see it as a priority for Cannon Falls? And then, what are you willing to bring to the table?
We also understand that this is very challenging times right now. It might not be possible to designate a staff person to put some additional time in to this project, so having a committee member is very acceptable, but then maybe 2 years from now, when it is more beneficial and we're back on our feet, that we could move to having a city staff person start designating some time working on some of these projects. This is a long-term project. This is 5 to 10 years process. It's not a 1 year, we're going to make all these changes and things are going to be hunky-dory. It's a work in progress.
How many hours per month would be the commitment for whoever that person would be?
Right now, it's 1 or 2 hours a month. Right now, the deadline to apply for the application is the end of August. So I need to have some help going through answering the questions that I can't answer. But then after that, we meet once a month, and we're not asking the staff person to lead a bike rodeo or organize, the bike to school day. It's just to be that connector and be that city rep for us to work with, and making sure that the engineering piece, the enforcement piece, those pieces are in place. So.
I'm also a little concerned with the actual action plan. There are a couple items on here that makes it looks like we're going to work for you when you read this stuff, and I'm very uncomfortable about that, especially talking about city policies, plans, et cetera, and enforce traffic laws. We can't even get enforced making a right-hand turn at the stoplight that people are doing illegally, let alone trying to enforce some of these other things. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for having people biking in the community, but there are some things on here that
I don't know, I don't really have trouble with any of it.
And
I really don't. I don't see them as
I
problems.
can see where the city can
I
get
think-
sucked in pretty.
Well,
pretty
but let's look at it this way. You're talking about the one about enforcing traffic laws. Aren't we doing that anyway? So, I mean, really, that's not anything additional.
Yeah,
We still should be getting after bikers that don't use the right-hand signals or vehicles that don't, or motorcyclists. So I don't think that's adding anything. I don't know, that's just me. I think you were just reiterating what we should already be doing in a lot of those cases.
And that action plan was developed by the League of American Bicyclists as the starting point. And we would be approaching the city and city council for any of those things. It's not you're working for us. We're working to benefit the community and following the procedures that the city council adopts and works through.
But at the same time, it is a partnership. We're asking for a partnership. We're not asking for our group to, apply for this and then it's completely off of your radar. We're asking you to, put this on your radar. Like if the Public Works or the Park Board took it on with us, then if I understand it right, then you would be getting updates, at your meetings about what's going on, right? Because you'd get a report from the Parks Board. Is that how it works? So then, we're more on your radar and you can be, just probably inspired and, just see what we're doing and how it's growing, how it's, benefiting the community, et cetera.
Yeah.
Neil, are we supposed to take action on this tonight, or is this just a presentation?
That'll be up to you. We can postpone this for a meeting and think about it. That's the first time you're hearing it.
It is.
Right, that's why, in the agenda, I just didn't see if there was any suggested to vote or just
Right.
present.
To apply for the designation, they offer that 2 times a year. And the current one is the end of the month. Next time it'll be in probably February or March. So we can push that off if the action doesn't happen tonight. We strongly believe that this community would benefit greatly by, focusing a little bit, developing a master plan, encouraging this. The kids, the students, a little activity before and after school, especially before school. There's data that proves that kids do better in school when they're physically active. Businesses, bikers, cyclists will spend money. So to make sure that they're able to get where they want to go, they have the infrastructure, they have the parking available. You have hundreds of people come into town. They drive in, they park in the lot, they may shop at the farmer's market, they may get, a coffee or a glass of wine or something, but then they leave. Why not make it so they're going all over the place and shopping and spending money and staying here and doing multiple days? And then, the health benefit of all the other residents, getting people biking to work instead of driving their car. Benefits for the air, the environment. Less cars on the road, the better the air quality. So there's a lot of benefits to working towards this.
I'll make a motion to accept the Live Well Goodhue County and our application for the League of American Bikers.
I'll second it.
Motion to let's see, approve an action plan for a bike-friendly community for Cannon Falls. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Oh, one other thing, Dave has grant funds available for bike racks. City Hall could use one. So to connect with Dave.
Are you, excuse me, remember we talked about the cow laying down there?
Yeah.
You guys aren't part of that?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yep,
So that would be a bike rack, correct?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that project is a work in progress. It didn't happen
Coming.
as fast as we wanted to, but the ARC organization is working on that. So hopefully it'll be out in late October or September.
Okay. Thank you.
How does that work? The business buys the rack and then you pay them from the grant, or how?
Yes, yep.
So they buy the rack?
Yeah. And the one that Cannon Bells has out in front with their logo on it, that's exactly how that worked. We worked with the Historical Society and helped them get a rack for up at their business. We've talked to a couple other businesses about that, so I have a very simple application form. business buys the rack, and then we reimburse that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Too?
Yep. Okay, item 6E was Resolution 2499, accepting a donation from Valley View Recovery Center to the PD for a TV. That was Morris.
All I'm asking is if it could have been handled a little bit different. As soon as it was done, you put it on Facebook and that, I'm just saying that could have been a little different and procedure-wise. I think it's a good thing, but that's about all I got.
So Neil and I visited regarding this. We are in agreement it could have been done a little differently.
Okay.
The premise of social media is to try to recognize people when they do things that are kindness towards the officers, or the officers do something. Sometimes it's promoting. Like right now we're doing a thing with the library. They're promoting mask use with the implementation of that. In this case, it certainly wasn't intended to mislead people, but the premise is anytime we receive a donation, they come before council.
Yeah.
Simply just the addition of, we accept the donation pending council approval would have clarified that. But as I explained to Neil, Lieutenant Berg, who handles our social media stuff, he doesn't deal with the donation side of the business yet. I've been teaching him how to do many of the things, so that we've got a succession plan in place. This is just one that we haven't gotten to yet. This year we're focusing, he got to be part of the budget stuff last year. This year he's more of the budget stuff as we work our way through it. That was just one of those things that was coming along. We just hadn't gotten there yet. This accelerated it. But,
Got some training in.
It's certainly, the timing of it was just incredibly amazing, because we had been down at the public safety building to do a mass photo with the library. And he commented, and I agreed, the board display that they have in the equipment bay is really nice, because it has the information on there of calls, the cameras for the 3 exits at 52. And it would be a great resource, but, as I commented to him that day, we don't have a TV in our plans right now. And then they put out a Facebook post to the community that just, we're getting rid of stuff. And he went down to check it out, and it turned out it was things they weren't going to be using, and rather than paying, to have it disposed of, they just gave it away. But when we looked at it, we just couldn't ascertain a value, and so the appropriate channels seemed to be, you route it through here, so that, the donation could be accepted. If not, we'd return it.
I have a problem with the social media end of it, and I think I've asked Neil now, maybe if we can come up with a policy on that, because I think something like that should go through Neil before it's put out on, at least on the city website like that. I don't know.
And we've had that conversation, and we've got guidance that we're utilizing. We certainly could look at a citywide policy that would address social media. I don't know who handles the city's one. I know Nicole does the libraries, and I'm not sure who does the fire department one.
Not sure who.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2499?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gesme, second by, who was it? Montgomery. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Kyle, Chamber.
Thank you. Kyle Paulson from the Cannon Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. And I'll start off first. We did receive 6,500 masks from the Minnesota DEED 4 million mask distribution program. And last week, we had 4 sessions where people could come and get masks, and that's for chamber and non-chamber people. It's for everyone, individuals, businesses, organizations. We now are down to about 375. We also shared them with Meesville, Randolph, Kenyon, Denison, Wanamingo, and Nearstrand. And so this western side of Goodhue County, I think, has been covered quite well. And so from that, we are now up to 260 visits from the lead generation program on Explore Minnesota. They are coming from 32 different states, and we've had 2 from Canada. And so that, it's amazing. We can get anywhere from 3 to 10 leads a day that we send out a link to our Discover Guide, and then they let us know if they would like to receive one. We're also going to be working with Explore Minnesota and Laura Qualley in regards to advertising dollars in promoting Cannon Falls as a tourist destination. And so we're just in the process of getting that application filled out and approved, and so hopefully that will come through. Summer Sizzling Days. If any of you have seen, let me see if I can get this up right, the August Entertainment Guide, we have put in a half-page ad with the Cannon Bells Coffee and Ice Cream. And this is an event that's going to be happening August 24th through the 27th. And it's on the sidewalk. It's not like a fun fest. We are not blocking any streets. We are actually doing the booths on the sidewalks. On August 24th, Cannon Bells will be having a baking competition, much like at a county fair or the Cannon Valley Fair. So it's open to the public. You can bring any of your baked goods and they will be judged. On August 25th, that's a Tuesday, sewing, needlework, quilting competition. Wednesday, the 26th, woodworking, crafts, Lego project competition. And on the 27th, Cannon Bells will be having a garden, like produce and flowers, fairy gardens, those kinds of things to be judged, as well as butter and cheese carving and recycled, repurposed project competitions. They'll be ending their event that evening with a rabbit agility course. If you think of the dog agility courses, just put a bunny in there. And these 4-H kids have them trained to do this. During the day, on Thursday, August 27th, the chamber will be having vendors, and they can be chamber members or or past Fun Fest vendors, on the streets of Main Street, 4th Street, and Mill Street. And so everything and anything from clothing and jewelry to baked goods to essential oils, cards, soaps, honey, you name it, it will be there. And so we'll be getting that entry form out. And so if you are interested in participating in that as a vendor, please contact the chamber office. If you're interested in the contacts, please contact Cannon Bells and talk with Kathy. This came from a decision from the chamber board that we've been canceling all of our events this year, of which we have. And so we wanted to do some type of business appreciation to show our members and our community that we do care about them. And we're doing it as an open air fair. So it's all outside, it'll all be distanced, we'll be in masks, and so hopefully everyone will have a safe and fun time. Any questions?
Just one.
Yeah.
Do you know if they're looking for judges for the baking contest?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. However, I don't think there's going to be any tasting.
Oh.
But you can call Kathy Huff at Cannon Bells, and she'll let you know. All right? I also want to let you know there's free advertising in the entertainment guide, and so I will be putting both farmers markets listings in the calendar section of the entertainment guide in September, and we'll see what happens in October. And I am also hoping to put in what kind of products will be at each location or the vendors' names. And so we'll do one or the other, but they will be listed in the entertainment guide in September. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle. Well, the only committee that's met since our last meeting is the Trail Board. Anything there, Matt or Mary Jo?
If Scott wants
Oh, Scott up
to, he
there?
was on
Scott was
the
there.
Zoom meeting, and the reason why Mary Jill and I can't report on that was the same night that we had the interviews with the engineering firms.
So we weren't
So
there.
I had emailed him that we would not be able to attend that meeting.
Scott was up there, too. wasn't
Scott was in the Zoom
I was
meeting, if we
there.
can,
Resume him?
Was here for the bike part.
and then he left? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
It was the annual meeting. I know that the information was shared, but it was just the, looking forward on, or looking back on the year and how things have gone. I know the construction of those bridges went very well, the trail.
Yes.
I'm not sure he had the numbers of how many more people are using the trail this year because of COVID and the situation we're in, but I know the numbers are up. I just remember the trail passes, the early season, like March to
We're
April,
already up.
was already
Yes.
15% higher.
Yeah, they were.
And like I said, the online trail pass, they can track, and they were finding people all the way up by Plymouth and Minnetonka that were buying not just one time, but annual pass, so they'd come here more than once.
I had several emails
Yeah.
from bikers that biked for the first time in the last week.
Very busy.
Scott told me last year, total usage on the trail was 90,000. They surpassed that before the 4th of July this
Wow.
year. And he said if they have a good October, that should double to 180,000.
Do you remember, were those numbers specifically to Cannon Falls or the trail total? Because I feel like it was like 144,000 if you took us and Red Wings side, but the counter just here in Cannon was almost 90.
90,
Oh.
Yeah, so
what it was.
that's just our side.
Yeah.
Our side, yes. Okay, let's see, department heads. Chief, have you got anything?
At the last meeting, there were some questions about the right-hand turns. I talked with Ken at the Beacon. He was working on an article for the Highway 19 project that's going to be done, as far as sidewalks and stuff. And so mentioned the right turn part, asked him if he could do something on that. Sounded like he would be doing something. I also mentioned it to our temporary towards zero death officer, that would be something to put on the county-wide TZD program as a enforcement area. And of course, MnDOT is still working on the design for Highway 19, redoing the sidewalks, which is from what their open house meeting, Morris, you were there, they talked already about redoing what they did. And so that may cut down on some of it further if they move further out. They're just trying to figure out I think it was more the truck angles for turns and stuff to make sure that, whatever they do, they're not running over things as far as the activation buttons and that type of stuff.
And then didn't you somebody come up with, if you're going east, to bring that back?
Yep, that was one of the discussions that their engineers had talked about previously, so I don't know where they're going to go, but as they move forward, I'm sure we're hearing more. I don't know if this is just a standard design type project or if it's a design build one. I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but I know that their design people are working on it. I've seen some of their trucks just in those areas, and I'm assuming that's what they're doing, getting updated photos or.
Yeah, I've seen them out there. They're
So
parking and taking pictures.
it is something we're aware of and something we're continuing to monitor. We haven't gotten, too enforcement orientated, as far as just actually writing the citations, but we certainly could if, the council feels that most of our offenders are people that have been doing that for many, many years. And, what we're trying to do is reduce the number of close calls and, accidents where somebody's insurance is saying it's their fault, but it really wasn't.
No. Well, some
And
high
we've been
school kid's
successful in
gonna
that.
some high school student is going to kill someone.
Yep.
Because they're not, they've always lived with it with not being a right turn lane.
And we've got a lot of residents that, are a bunch older than our high school kids.
Exactly.
That have been driving that way.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a real.
So we didn't want to take a real heavy-handed enforcement approach. We
Right.
want to try to slowly educate. The numbers are getting better. They're not where we'd like to see them yet overall, but they are improving.
Well, this is probably a dumb question, here I am. Can they stripe it so that it's clear there's no right turn lane, or have they already done?
They've already striped the traffic lane. And what, I asked for was just additional signage to explain, don't leave the traffic lane.
Right.
MnDOT doesn't like to put signage up because if you get too much signage, people start to ignore it. That's a congested intersection anyway with
Right.
parking and everything else. So they felt that putting the striping lanes, the actual driving lanes, would help correct a majority, and it has. It's really reduced the number.
Oh, good.
But we still get those others.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, that's all I had on that.
Neil?
I got a couple of things. Finance Committee will be meeting August 12th. On the agenda, we're going to be discussing the CARES Fund funding that we received. It's $310,000. And then the reorganization of the Finance Department. Them two items will be discussed, be brought to City Council. August 11th is, we're going to do the second round of Public Works Director interviews. We narrowed the search down to 2. Going to be doing a tour of the town and then the second interview. And the election is next Tuesday. Filing period is in progress, and the last day to file will be August 11th. There's 2 two-year terms up and 2 four-year terms up. And also, if you haven't noticed, the cannonball is no longer the cannonball. It looks really good. Take a look. Now we're in search of putting something on that. So we got our job ahead of us. That's it.
Okay, let's go around the horn here. Morris, anything?
No.
Mary Jo?
Nope.
Matt?
Something, just real quick. After our last council meeting, I stayed about 45 minutes afterwards and had a conversation with Tim. And Tim, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but it was a really good conversation. I'm glad that I was able to stick around and chat with you. I think when Tim gets up here to speak, it's not that we don't listen, it's that we don't know what action he's asking us to take. That conversation that we had that night was wonderful, and I think all he needs or wants is to be treated fairly and with respect. And again, Tim, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, and you're free to say whatever you want during public input, but the conversation that I had with him was great, and I think that a little respect and a little being treated with equality goes a long way. And so I'm happy we stuck around and talked that one out there, Tim. That's all I got.
Bill?
Nothing.
Steve?
Nothing. Nothing.
I don't have anything either, so we'll get right into public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the record and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comments must be respectful, pertinent to city business, and adhere to applicable data privacy rules. The City Council will not take action on any issue raised by the public, but may choose to schedule consideration of the item on a future agenda. Open the public or input session.
Well, as you all know, I contacted directly or indirectly each and every one of you about this TV out at the treatment facility. When the lieutenant went out to get the TV, I think he violated a law, a state law, I think, by taking that gratuity. To me, it's not a real big deal. Didn't think much of it. I was informed immediately when it came up on Facebook, and it was immediately taken down. He also violated a couple city policies. And Mr. Mayor, just so that you know, you do have a policy about Facebook. It is public media, and it does have to be approved by the administrator. It's in a personnel policy handbook that Mr. McCormick brought forth in 2016. So, anyway, I was informed of it, didn't think a thing of it. Who cares? It's just a stupid TV. Until Mr. McCormick came up with this story. And this story goes on and on and on. The part that I thought was the most hilarious is they couldn't afford a TV, it wasn't in the budget. You got a budget of over $1 million. We were just at a budget meeting, it got cut by $115,000 this year. A year ago, we were all sitting here, it couldn't be done. We couldn't cut anything. What the hell happened? Something had to happen. It got cut by like $115,000, I'm told. I don't know, I don't have any of the data in front of me, I haven't received any of it. But I am listening, and I do hear, and I do understand a little about math. And I can read. And this story, I mean, why the story? Why couldn't it just come up and say, hey, look, Joe did this, we want it approved, what do you think? Approve it, no big deal. And as Steve pointed out, should be sure that all laws are followed. When you're a police officer, you should understand all the laws. So if you can't afford this $200 TV, it costs like $220 brand new. This thing's from 2008. It can't be worth a lot of money. So in a $1.2 million budget, I would think you could come up with it. Especially if you spend a couple $1,000s to send 2 people to a police chief's convention when you're only supposed to be sending 1? Or the $3,000 you spent to go to Montreal or wherever in Canada for an FBI training, which isn't affiliated with the FBI nor the police in Minnesota at all. Some kind of boys club or something. What about the thing in Chicago for the body cams, John? You had to shut that down last year. All I'm saying is, you're trying to tell me that you can't afford a $200 TV, but we can travel the country? It's kind of a long, elaborate story, isn't it? That's the problem I'm having with it. Why don't we just stick to the facts and always do the right thing? Thank you for your time.
Anybody else, public input?
Tim Deemer, resident of Cannon Falls. Was glad to hear the words from Matt Montgomery. But what goes along with respect, or as equal, or maybe even more important, is just this bracelet I've started wearing. Again, I got it years ago. But is besides respect on here, it's justice, hospitality, stewardship. I don't know, I was just going to mention, just keep it to a few words. Just looking for the constructive criticism would go, I would think, comes from both ways, like a two-way road. But I don't feel it always seems like it's criticism coming from me, and it's not that. It's just asking about how things can be done, maybe better or different, or just to be done. And if they can be done better, sometimes, maybe it's hindsight that you don't know until after the fact or something, but it's, if they can, or maybe can, or is it just a flat-out no, that they can't be, and it's just not, it don't seem like it's just this community, it's other communities. They got, like in Red Wing, they got a community engagement specialist, they call that position, and there's just, maybe it's not a priority. It affects very, very few people. I'm the probably 1 percentile of people in my situation, and it's getting worse by the day. I've been, if nobody knows the meaning of this, where it's upside down, I have a not up to code, something that it's just wishing I could just kind of get more action. It seems to lag or drag on, and this incident I brought up last time about this guy in the grocery store, I went up to him, he was like played stupid. He didn't know nothing about it ever happening, and weeks go by and find out the video was the wrong day that I just watched today with the police chief, and I just don't have nobody. I could probably say this much better, but I don't know how else to proceed. Could sing, it's like singing a solo, singing solo, but to me it's so low they don't want to hear me. They just, that was something I picked up on or heard on the radio. Somebody joked about, made that pun or whatever. So, yeah, I guess I'll wait to see what happens.
Anybody else, public input?
Adam Peters. I'm here again to see if we can get on the agenda the parking problem that's still at the winery. Maybe if someone would enforce some parking tickets, people would get the point. Oversized trucks don't mean they can park there. So I don't know who's told the police to not write any tickets, but maybe they need to. That way people could follow the law.
Are you talking about along Mill Street there?
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Okay, let's close the public input. There's nobody left. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.